So what is the COVID vaccine and how does it actually work? First of all, there's actually a couple of different types of COVID vaccines. However, how they protect you against infection is very, very similar. What they do is they teach our body to basically recognize what's referred to as the spike protein. The spike protein is specifically what allows coronavirus to connect to our cells and infect our cells. So by helping the body recognize these spike proteins, we're allowing the body to react earlier and prevent coronavirus from infecting our cells. So another common question is, we've heard about different strains of COVID. Do the current vaccines protect against these different strains? Well, like all viruses, it is very natural for them to mutate over time. So there are new strains that are constantly evolving. Testing is actively being done to evaluate the efficacy of current vaccines against these emerging strains. However, the research that has been reported shows us that the spike protein is very similar, and therefore current vaccines are protective against emerging variants of COVID. So like all of us that have had vaccines, we're always wondering about what are the potential side effects. Of the nearly 200 million people that have received the COVID vaccine, upwards of 90% have had no reaction whatsoever. Those that have had a reaction have overall been fairly mild and similar to what you would expect with other vaccines. Potentially pain at the injection site, low-grade fever, an overall feeling of being kind of tired, and even low-grade headache. These are natural responses to the body as the body is stimulated to immunologically respond to the vaccine. Are there any potential individuals that maybe should not be getting the vaccine? And this is an important question. If you have experienced a severe allergic reaction to vaccines in the past, you are going to want to work with your healthcare provider to make sure that the COVID vaccine is appropriate for you. Also, if you have underlying health conditions, you should speak with your doctor to determine what type of vaccine would be most appropriate. So another question that's come up is that, is there a cost associated with the vaccine, or do you have to have medical insurance to get vaccinated? Thankfully, there is no cost to the COVID vaccine and medical insurance is not required. The U.S. government has kind of funded the support and development of this COVID vaccine, and therefore, again, there is no cost associated to its administration, and you do not have to have health insurance. So what about the potential of, can a person just wait until we develop what's called herd immunity and maybe even potentially not receive the vaccine? Well, herd immunity typically only occurs when around 70 to 85% of the overall population develops immunity to the virus. Therefore, the more people that get vaccinated, the closer we are to reaching herd immunity. However, if only half or a lower percentage of the overall population becomes vaccinated, it can really significantly delay the time upon which we will develop herd immunity. Diseases like diphtheria, polio, mumps, measles, tetanus, and many of these other diseases that we've seen over the history of mankind were actually eradicated or greatly reduced because of consistent vaccination. However, we know that outbreaks still occur. So the more closer we are to having our population vaccinated and achieving herd immunity, the less likely we're going to continue to see more emergencies of diseases like this, as well as hopefully control COVID overall. So one of the questions I've had myself, and I've been asked a lot, was it really seems like the vaccine came out really fast. Is there any safety or concerns associated with that? Well, first and foremost, the COVID vaccine has been shown in clinical trials to be safe and effective. Studies have shown that the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer vaccines are almost 94 to 95% overall effective, whereas the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is about 75% effective. Overall, in terms of vaccine efficacy, those are very, very good numbers. And above all, we know that all vaccines dramatically decrease the risk of severe illness associated with COVID. So when the pandemic first hit, the priorities of our government and many of the large pharmaceutical companies shifted dramatically. Other projects were put on the sideline, and money, resources, and time were all focused on the development of a COVID vaccine. This is what had a significant impact to the speed at which a COVID vaccine was brought to the marketplace. However, the federal government, in partnership with these pharmaceutical companies, have taken all the appropriate steps to ensure the safety and efficacy of the vaccine.